What's going on, people? This is Jesseville from jesseville.com, and this video is called The Introduction to Blaxit, the movement to divest in matriarchal women and invest in patriarchal women. Now, there has been a movement, a resurgence, an igniting of black men around the world, but particularly in the United States, that has been going on, of black men dealing with feminine women outside of the country. Now, from the consensus that I've gotten, the issue that we're having with black women here in the United States is the same issue that we're having, that black men in places like Germany, France, and the UK are having with black women there. So this has been going on for several years now. You know, before it's gotten to this level, it actually happened to a lesser degree with black men in the military. So I'm going to plant my flag in the ground and put a name and a definition to this movement. And so for that reason, I'm now dubbing this movement the Blaxit Movement. And I'm going to say that the Blaxit Movement is a movement, a mass movement amongst black men around the world, but particularly in westernized countries, most specifically in the United States, who are divesting in matriarchal, masculinized, westernized women with extremist feminist ideals around the world by consciously choosing not to marry, date, have casual sex with, or even fraternize with outside of work and business or any other social situations where you may be forced to do so otherwise. Instead, black men are consciously choosing to date, court, and marry ultra feminine, patriarchal, easternized women who actively oppose extremist feminist ideology and enthusiastically embrace their Eastern traditional roles as women, and expect you to embrace your traditional role as a man. That's what I am pushing to the brothers who are worthy and accepting of these type of women. Now understand, right? This is something that will appeal to the mature masculine man. If you were raised by a single mother and your energy and your personality is feminine because it's been socialized by living in a single mother household to be as such, then this will not apply to you. This will not interest you. If you are a brother who is in his player stage, if you are a long-time bachelor and you're not interested in serious relationship, what I would recommend to you is don't even worry about this at the moment. Westernized masculine women are actually the easiest women to have casual relationships with, right? Because they have fooled themselves in thinking that they can be like men and to have sex with as many partners as they want to and still be wifed by a man of means and a man of quality. if you're in your player stage right now, just go ahead and have fun with these masculinized women in the United States. And let me be clear, right? I'm not saying that all women in the United States and the Western world, the UK, France, Germany, etc., are, matriarchal, masculinized, extremist feminists. I am saying that the majority of them are, and that there are a small minority of these women that are not, and they're usually, in most cases, already married by the age of 25. So if you are looking in those areas, try to properly vet and enter in a contract, some type of marriage contract, whether legally binding or between the both of you. Try to get that before then. But understand that American women are actually the easiest women to have sex with, no strings attached, and what have you. Westernized women are the easiest women to get sexually and not have to worry about any type of commitment. So if you just want to have fun, if you're in that stage, if you don't want to have serious relationships with women, if you want to just hit it and quit it, etc., etc., continue to deal with westernized women. But if you are at a stage where you're looking for a serious relationship, where you're looking to move into marriage and start to create a union with a woman or with two or more women, to really start creating your legacy and to start increasing the profitability and the self-sustainability of your businesses, then this movement is for you. Now, the attributes that I am looking for, and I think that many classic men, urban Renaissance men, and well-to-do men would agree with, are, but not limited to, femininity. Number one, we're looking for feminine women who are in their feminine energy. And the main reason for this movement is because the areas that we live in, because of the single mother syndrome, single mother households, the women refusing to get with a man, they have to take on both the masculine and the feminine roles, both the nurturer and the protector roles. And so they are producing women that also take on both those roles and that have predominantly masculine energy, and are creating men with predominantly feminine energy. And so they are effectively socializing their children to reverse the roles, the gender roles that we are biologically conditioned to behave in, right? So that is the number one problem, an issue that most black men have with westernized women in general, with American black women and UK black women in particular. We're looking for women that are soft, that are demure, that are nurturing, caring, accommodating, delicate, emotionally balanced, elegant, classy, cooperative, submissive, supportive, loyal, industrious, teachable, gentle, receptive, diplomatic, and we're not looking for women that are strong, as they like to say. We view strong as a very masculine trait. Instead, we're looking for women that are resilient, emotionally and physically resilient, right? These are some of the many attributes that we're looking for in women, and we're not getting at for most women in Western countries, such as the United States, number one, the UK, number two, France, Germany, and other countries that European Western civilization is the roots of the cultures within those countries. And so, what you have now is black men refusing to procreate with these women, refusing to marry these women. While 59% of American black women have 2 or more baby daddies, look it up. 72% of American black women have children out of wedlock, look it up. While only 25% of black men have children out of wedlock. Only 25%. 42% of black men do not have children whatsoever, and another 33% of black men who do have children are married. So what does this mean? This means that almost 75% of black women are being impregnated by a small group of 25% or less of black men. So you have less than a quarter of black men, of irresponsible black men, who are impregnating 75% of black women. Almost 75% of black women. 80-20 rule. So by us black men of means, of intelligence, education, patriarchal mindset, of wealth, influence, and power, you will not miss us. We have decided that it is time to pull our resources away from the black matriarchy and to instead use our resources to continue to build our own black community, a patriarchal black community that loves, appreciates, and respects black masculinity, black manhood, black patriarchy. We have said no more will we accept the disrespect, the contempt, the hate, the sabotaging behavior of masculine, westernized black women. We are done. Good luck. We wish you the best. You're on your own now. And so, in this movement, there lies a minority of brothers who will date women that fit these descriptions and that have these positive qualities that I mentioned, these positive attributes, and they will get with these women regardless of ethnicity and regardless of race. However, the vast majority of black men within this movement are choosing to look to the Caribbean, to Africa, to Central America, to South America, and other places in the world for women of African descent, women who have at least a quarter or more of African DNA, most often being women that have 50 to 100% African DNA. And we are fostering relationships with those women. You see, we are looking toward women who, while they may not have the exact same culture that African American women have, they have the exact same phenotypes and genotypes. Physically, the same physical attractiveness that we pose toward African American women, these women have the same, except they have different cultures and they have retained their Eastern traditional roles. They have held on to their feminine energy. They have held on to their respect for manhood and black men. And they possess all of the qualities and attributes that we desire in women. Now, I'm not saying that all of these women, 100% or 99.999% of these women in these other countries, these black women in these other countries, possess these things, because they have been under colonialism and they have too been subject to Western ideals. But unlike the women in these Western countries, they have been able to hold on to a much larger percentage of these attributes and ideals than the women in these Western countries have. I mean, if you even look at 40 years ago, in the 60s and 70s and 50s to 60s, let's say the late 60s, before, even African American women held on to these values that we desire and like. You know, my mother cooks at least 3 to 4 times a week. My grandmother cooked, both of my grandmothers cooked 7 times a week for their husband and their children. And they were teachers at that. So work was no excuse. They worked 8+ hours at the school 5 days a week. And these were very social and politically intelligent women, politically conscious women. They had women's groups, social groups that they organized with. So these are no excuses for the modern woman. It is a coy, a con, poppycock, the excuses that these Western women use. But I will get off of the Western women and say that black men, if you are not on the Blaxit movement, you should get on the train. Now, if you are a feminized man, if you were raised by a single mother and you've realized that the things that she taught you are not the way of the man, it's not the way of masculinity, then I will tell you this movement is not for you yet. Before you join this movement and get your passport, I would definitely recommend that you do your proper research, that you look out for certain masculine mentors like brothers like Tariq Nasheed, Ron Wills, Rosebud, Bitter Dose, Dahudi Maatra, BGS Idmore, Black Ram, Mr. Research, and many other brothers in the manosphere. Many other brothers that are boomers, greatest generations in particular. Those two generation of men are the two of the best that you can have as a masculine role model. Because listen, when you get with these feminine women, in their cultures, they do not have broken men to the level that we have in the United States, right? So if you come at them with some black boy bullshit, you don't know your role as a man, as the masculine man, you don't understand your role, you have feminine, womanistic tendencies, they're gonna dump your ass. They're not gonna tolerate none of a man not being a man. They won't. So if you're one of those, if you have those issues, correct that shit before you step to these sisters in other countries. You understand? But if you were raised properly by a masculine man and a feminine woman, or if you were raised by a feminine man or a single mother household, and you have corrected your behavior, your mindsets, your thought processes, and ideas of what it means to be a man, climb aboard, brother. Climb aboard. Stop wasting your time with women that you don't desire and that are not conducive to building your legacy, to building your empire, to building your family, to help and increase your productivity and multiply your economic situation as a man. Stop wasting your time having unnecessary arguments, getting into violent interactions, having the police called on you, being called all kind of derogatory, disrespectful names. Stop wasting your time and climb aboard, brother. The Blaxit Movement is here. Get your passport, apply for your visas, do your research. Start looking at how you can get cheap plane tickets to Cuba, to Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Brazil, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, etc., etc. Newsflash, brothers. In Ghana, there are 3 million excess black women. That means if you take all of the black women and all of the black men and if you married all of the black men to black women in that country, there would be 3 million single black women that don't have a husband in Ghana that they can get. In Tanzania, there are 10 million excess black women. So if you had 10 million men that you married to black women in that country, that would have, or not 10 million. If you married every black man in Tanzania to a woman and to one woman in Tanzania, they would have 10 million black women in Tanzania that could not find a husband. Stop it. Stop stressing yourselves with the BS that you are experiencing with westernized women. And listen, I'm not going to blame the women. It's not their fault. The women of this generation, at least the millennial and Gen Z women, and I'll probably even go as far as to say maybe even the Gen X women, because after all, it was the boomer women that started off this single mother debacle, this failure of a family structure. It was the baby boomer woman that started off this mindset that has carried on through the generations. But we're here now. Some of you brothers have the patience to try to work with these women on improving their behavior. I do not. Now understand that women are women. They just have different modalities and levels of femininity and masculinity. But women are women, and there's a general nature of women that apply to all women around the world, and there's a general nature to men that apply to all men around the world. But the modality, the extreme and differences between these westernized, matriarchal, masculinized women are to such an extreme compared to feminine women that, you know, it's worlds apart. What I am saying to masculine men, number one, if you were raised by a masculine, forthright man and a feminine woman, I am talking to you predominantly. If you are a man that was raised by a single mother or a feminine man and woman type relationship where your dad was a simp, beta male, or a pushover, but you have realized this and have corrected the behavior yourself through mentorship and research of masculine energy, I am also talking to you. If you have done the work and you are recognized as your elders, your peers, and as other women, as a alpha male based on your behavior, your character, your mindset, and your ability to sustain yourself financially, I am talking to you. Divest yourself from the black matriarchy. Do everything in your power, in your ability, to bolster and to build the black patriarchy. Do everything in your power. If you can make moves politically to sabotage and destroy the black matriarchy, do it. As a side quest, as a sub objective, do it. Don't bolster up this destructive family structure. Divest from this whole idea and let's invest in a patriarchal African American, Black American community. Join us, brothers. The water's fine. The water's quite fine on this side. And, you know, I will say, as I said earlier in the video, there are African American black women in the United States and Western countries that are worthy of this, of our hand in marriage, to be a part of our empires, our families, and our legacies, to help us build our legacies as men, but you must properly vet these women. You must observe and see if these women have the attributes that I named: the femininity, the softness, the submissiveness, the cooperation, etc., etc. And of course, you must do this with any women that you deal with, even the ones that are from outside of America. You must be constantly vetting, observing, and getting to know and understand them as a person to see that they do have these attributes before making them a part of your family. In many African countries around the world, the women outnumber the men tremendously. If you were a polygamous man, there's so many women, so many single women available, that if every black man in the world had 2 or 3 wives, they still wouldn't have enough black men to marry these black women. You understand? We have the dominant position. We have the dominant frame. Yes, black women in America, they are boasted by the Democratic Party. They are boasted by white liberals. They are boasted and supported by the power structure through policy, through political views, through welfare, social welfare programs, through laws that benefit them, through a family court structure that benefits and is partial to the woman. So that's why you say, if we cannot play fair, then we're not going to play at all. We're going to play a different game. We're going to find another teammate. See, there's been black women that have committed so many acts of treason. So many acts of treason against the black community that it's so hard to even tell if it's worth even dealing with them at this point. You know, Elijah Muhammad once said, if I'm in a cabin and there's 1,000 wolves outside of my cabin ready to tear me apart and eat me alive to the bone, and out of those 1,000 there's 100 wolves that want to protect me, am I gonna open the door to try to figure out who are those 100 out of 1,000? Hell no. So brothers, in closing, the Blaxit movement is not about tearing down westernized women. It's about not even dealing with the ones that have those undesirable qualities and attributes. We just gonna ignore them, let them get knocked up by the hood cats and the street dudes and the Pookies and Ray Rays that they've been getting knocked up by for these past couple years. 8% of black men don't contribute to their kids' life. Let them keep getting knocked up by those dudes and let them do what they want to do. What we gonna do is ignore their ass. We're gonna continue this Blaxit movement, get our passports, wave it in the air like we just don't care, and get with these feminine women, these feminine, ultra feminine, patriarchal minded, Eastern traditional women that love to cook every day, that love to clean and take care of the house, that love to contribute financially to the man in the household. Because, you know, the women in these westernized cultures, they believe that they should live like Miss Ann and live in a house and, just take care of the kids and not contribute anything financially in terms of business or employment. And African women and Eastern women, African women in particular, but Eastern women in general, which includes Asia and the Middle East and what have you, these women have always worked. Matter of fact, the whole concept of a market that the European and American markets like the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones comes from African women being traders within the market. And if you go to a lot of African countries today, it's mostly the women who are selling things in the market, which, in a lot of cases, it's a family business that the man started and they're acting as the man's representative in many cases, right? So, and also in many pre-colonial African cultures, women they did most of the farming and agricultural work while the men hunted. That's the whole concept of hunter-gatherer, which most women get wrong, is that the man is the hunter and the woman is the gatherer. She's the one that is collecting the herbs, the nuts and the berries to go along with the meat during the meal. You understand? I have friends right now that are in successful marriages with African women, where their women want to contribute financially. They want to sell products. They want to sell spices and herbs. They want to sell cooked food at the market. They want to go to other countries and sell used or new clothing to other women in the community. They want to be feminine and cook and take care of the house and contribute financially. And this is what black women have always done, but for some reason, with this Generation X cohort of black women, and maybe, I'll say this, millennial women, I have not had these issues with. It has more so been Gen X women. To me, from my personal experience, the Generation X women have been the heaviest offenders of showing disrespect and contempt to black men and having a mindset of they should, just chill at the home all day and not contribute anything financially to men. And they may have millennial women as well, but the millennial women I've experienced, not an issue. And I'm talking black women in America, but so this is the movement, fella. The Blaxit Movement. Get your passport. Start looking at visas. Wave them in the air and wave them like you just don't care. We are leaving the matriarchy behind. And we are getting with women that we desire. Not only physically, but ideologically, intellectually, personality-wise. And we are getting the women that we deserve. So yes, and I will leave on